Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining today. Another edition of Wildlife Conservation India. Today, we are going to present Mr. Anand Ramasamy. He is going to talk about bird photography, urban bird photography. Though even most of the metro cities, no, in and around itself, we do have a lot of birding spots. I don't know how many of you know this. I had been living in New Delhi for more than 16 years, and we can see Okla Bird Sanctuary is center of the city. So like Chennai also, we have lot of marshland near human habitat. And same like Mumbai also, you are having lot of flamingo near in your place itself. From a home, few of my friends can see flamingos from their window. So same thing, even your cities also, you do have wetlands, marshlands, lakes and all nearby city, nearby your place itself. So with this COVID situation, we won't be able to travel many other places. So better thing is try to do birding. Okay. Otherwise, macro photography or birding you can do. Or just to take your binocular, go and watch your birds also. So Mr. Anand is going to tell us where all the places you can try and what sort of birds you will get. So let us welcome Mr. Anand Ramasamy. Please, Anand, you can join us.
Hi, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening, Anand. Thank you
Good
for
evening.
joining us today. And I'm
Thank you
already
so much.
impressed seeing your PPT. And let us share your photograph and tips with our friends and fans also. Please start your session, Anand. Thank you everyone for joining Wildlife Conservation of India, another edition of Photography Talk. Please do stay with us next 1 hour. It's going to be very informative. Yeah, have a great evening, guys. Do stay with us next 1 hour. We will take a question and answer end of the session. Yeah, please, Anand, you can start.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am, and thanks all for joining. So today's topic, right, I will be discussing about the urban bird photography. And before that, I will just quickly introduce myself, right? So, I mean, I started a bird photography. It's almost going to be 8-year journey, and then I started from Chennai, and then I relocated to abroad, and then I've explored few other places as well across Asia. And then when I moved back to Chennai, that is where I decided to explore a nearby place local. Having travel constraint, and also there are so many facts, right? And that is where I just started to
Yeah,
explore.
you can increase a little bit volume, Anand. Seems to be volume is low. People are telling.
Okay, how about now, ma'am?
Yeah. Guys, you have to tell us. Is it audible now?
I
Yes,
hope.
audio is good. Yes, yeah. Yeah, now
Sure.
it's good.
I will just come close to my
Yes,
laptop.
yes, you have
I
to do
use
that.
laptop speaker,
Yeah.
right? So that is where I explored on the urban bird photography, right? So I'll be discussing about urban bird photography today. So I will start my session, right? So urban birds. Urban birds are birds which lives in the urban environment. Around the human settlement and in the cities, right? In the any cities, right? Doesn't matter. I mean, Chennai or Delhi or Mumbai or Bangalore, all the cities, right? There are urban birds. We adapt to the human environment, and when it comes to bird photography, right? It is. It is perfectly normal. You do wildlife photography or bird photography, it's all same. And photography in city is all exciting as anywhere else, right? And one more advantage of bird photography is it's more accessible, and you can actually, it's since it is local, right? You can explore more, you can try more, and then birds in urban, it's all habitat to the human because they live among us, right? So that is the reason it is more habitat to the user. That is where you get more opportunity. So urban photography is going to be
Yeah,
really
and
like
to this point, I would like to add one more point to the audience. Actually, for us, Malabar whistling thrush is a Western Ghat endemic bird. But if we go to Munnar, Valparai, it's a garden bird for them. Okay, they do. You can see your garden itself. Same thing, red-billed blue magpie. For us, it's a new bird. But if you go to Satal, it will come very near to you. So few cities, your urban habitat where will be different. That you have to find out. Okay, few birds will be very common, and even whistling thrush, white crested laughing thrush and all. No? You can see nearby when you go to Nainital, near the hotel, even tea shop itself, you can sight at them. You can see them very near. Humans are there; they are not bothered about anyone. So few birds are very accommodated the local place also. So don't think these images are not urban and all. No? In Chennai, around south, these images, these birds are urban habitat. But I am sure most of the birds in your city also you will find your marshland, wetland, no? Nearby city itself. So please do enjoy. Yeah, please carry on.
Thanks, ma'am. Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to urban bird photography, right, and it's common to wild photography also. I mean, there are few consideration or tips which, I mean, I've just experienced it and it was actually a very successful as well for me. So one is forget about your camera. When I say forget about your camera, right, our normal intention, right, what we do is we take the camera and then we start, when we see the bird, we just start shooting the bird, right? So first thing is you need to observe the habitat and you need to observe the environment and you need to observe the pattern. That is important. I mean, once you take your camera, then your concentration is lost, right? So that is where you know more about the location as well as birds, right? So that the best way is to observe with binoculars, where you can, see the distance bird closely. That is where it will help you in successful bird photography. And the next point is on the research of the location. I mean, a knowledge about the birds. There are various, you know, in internet, you can actually search about the places. Say, for example, you are in a particular city, right? What all the nearby places, hotspots, which are, birds are available. You can do a research on, various websites as well as social media is the best thing nowadays. And then you have the field guides as well as the eBird. I mean, eBird is one of the fantastic website where you can easily spot, nearby birds and when it is last seen and all these things. So wherein you have to do your homework to understand the birds around you, right? And next thing is find a quiet location. I mean, that is also important in urban bird photography because you are doing birding in cities, right? So you need to explore the places where you can peacefully spend time and then do the birding. And usually, right, it is always suggested to go with smaller group like two people or three people or one people. So that is where you spend a lot of time with birds, and then but you have a good opportunity to spend time and get a good photo of it, right? And if you are going in a group, a larger group, then I would suggest to split in a separate group and do the birding. So right, and then start early. I mean, this is one of the key factor. I mean, when you do the birding in urban, right, you need to start the birding earlier. I mean, around 6 o'clock, and then because your city will come live, right? I mean, you will have a lot of people around 8 10 o'clock, and then evening, very less chance actually in terms of urban bird photography. So these are the, I would say, the key things which needs to be considered, right?
Urban birds, any bird photography, here to be there before sunrise. Okay, when the sun comes, here to be there. Not
Yes.
any bird photography. Urban photography, it's a must before
Absolutely.
people comes. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And then try to understand on the location and the habitats, right? Say one simple example would be urban birds. And when I say urban birds, right, obviously we are discussing about urban bird photography. I mean, the birds which adapt to the urban habitat. I mean, all buildings, you will see a lot of common birds, like myna, rock pigeon, crow, which will actually get adapted and where it lives closely with human beings, right? So these are the birds like Asian quail. You get up in the morning, right? You will be able to see the Asian quail call. So these are the very common birds which exactly adapt to the urban culture, right? And also there are few habitat, marshland habitat. I mean, inside city, you will be able to find the marshland habitats within the city, or I mean, you need to travel a bit, half an hour or 15 minutes around the city. You will be able to see the marshland habitat. If you see this picture, right, it's a perfect example for the floating vegetation. I mean, it can be a lotus plant vegetation or lily plant vegetation, where you can definitely see some common birds like great-head champagne, morgan, jacanas, and then coot, little grebe, all those birds, right? You can, once you find this particular habitat, I would definitely say you can easily spot these birds. It's very common in this habitat. Right? And then the freshwater lake. Obviously, right? If you see in this picture, right, this is one best example. I mean, you have the freshwater lake and you have the apartments behind. So these are pretty common in urban cities, right? I mean, where you have the freshwater lake and then you have the human habitat also close to it. And here you will be able to find, I mean, in the freshwater lakes or open grass land, you will be able to find a few birds like bee eaters, red-watered lapping, and then pit, Prineas, common kingfishers. I mean, when there is a lake, obviously there is going to be fish, right? Then you can easily find common kingfisher there. And these are all very common birds around the freshwater lakes, right? And backwaters. When I say backwaters, right, city which is actually around the coastal area, right? Where you can, I mean, Chennai, you have backwaters as well as freshwaters. It has various habitat as well. Similarly, the places which is close to the coastal area, right? Those cities will also have the backwaters habitat. And in that, you can see the birds like cormorant and then darter. And during migration, you will also see a few migrant birds like gulls, terns, and few other birds as well, right? So it's very important to understand in our city and in which the city which I mean which the city which we live, what all the habitats around us and what all the birds around us is all important to understand first, right? And then understanding of the birds behavior and patterns, right? I mean, it is common across, I mean, the wildlife photography or bird photography is always important to understand the behaviors. I mean, in urban bird photography, right? The advantage what you get is, I mean, you can spend more time on observing the behavior of the birds. Say, for example, the picture what you're seeing is swamp hen, gray-headed swamp hen, where in urban you have more opportunity to spend time with this bird. I mean, to understand the behavior, what it is feeding, what is the vegetation. I mean, if you're traveling to I mean, national park, or you will go with the list, right? I mean, you will have list of birds, and you need to cover those birds. But in urban photography, you have the flexibility. I mean, you don't have any rush. Birds are going to be there along with you, right? So that is where you spend more time, understand the behavior of the birds, wherein you will be able to capture the right moment. Say the picture what you are seeing here is a perfect, the floating vegetation, where you can easily find the shrimp hen and then the jacanas and moorhens and food. Right now, if you see this picture, right, shrimp hen, right? I mean, it is running. It has the food in the mouth and it is actually running. The reason being because I mean, in urban, all these birds, right, they share in a very closed space. I mean, the food is not abundant, right? How it is in wild, right? So what it does is, I mean, when percentage jacana and shrimp hen, they feed together, right? When shrimp hen, when it goes close to the jacana, right? Then what jacana will do is, it is, I mean, mainly during breeding season, it will be very territorial, and it will try to chase away the bird. So that is the reason, the shrimp and with the food, it is trying to run away from that place, right? So these are the behaviors can be captured, which makes the picture interesting, right? And then blue-tailed bee eater. I mean, this is one of the common urban bird. I mean, urban habitat, you can see this bird, green bee eater or blue-tailed bee eater. And the behavior is, I mean, the feeding behavior is quite same, right? I mean, it'll hunt for the bee or dragons or maybe butterfly, and then it will catch in the air, and then it will come to the same spot. So that is where, once you understand the behavior of this bird, then it is easy to photograph and then that particular moment. And one thing you have to ensure is you also need to maintain the right distance so that the birds are comfortable, and then it will actually do its own activities. I mean, feeding or any other activity. I mean, important thing about one more thing which I want to highlight in the feeding behavior is when there is a water or when there is a right food for it, that is where the birds will come, right? I mean, it's not only you want to take the feeding behavior. If you want to photograph any bird, then you need to understand what is the habitat. Ma'am, you're in mute, ma'am.
Yeah, food is a main draw usually.
Yes, yes.
Wherever food is available, the birds will be there. That is the where to find, how to find bird. I usually give tips. Yeah, food is a main draw.
Exactly. Thanks. Okay. Then, next is, I mean, we will talk about few birds' behavior, right? Another behavior is courtship behavior. I mean, courtship and mating behavior. If you see this picture, right, this is a black-winged still. It is very common bird. I mean, you can definitely see in city, any marshland or a freshwater lake, you can definitely see this bird, right? But how much time you spend with this bird, that is what I mean. I spent a lot of time with this bird, capturing many shots of it, right? And then one day I was actually observing, there are around three stills. Actually, it was flying around, flapping around. That is where I sensed that it is going to be a courtship behavior. I was ready to capture this moment, right? And then one bird, I mean, it's a female blackwing still. It came out and then it was bending down, as you see in this picture, right? And then I was sure that it is going to be a mating behavior. So that I waited for it, and then male came, and then what it does is it flaps the wing, and then what it does is actually it will dip the beak inside the water around it to attract the female. Then it will go on top of it and it will do the mating. So this is one of the interesting behavior, even if it is a common bird, right? I mean, this is
Body language are the birds. You know what they are going to do. Then you will be ready to capture. Yeah.
exactly. Yes. And there are different, there are different courtship behaviors. One is, the birds will do a call, like chakanas will do a call by singing and attract female mates. And then the display. I mean, a simple example will be peacock, which will display and attract the female. And then few birds like terns, what they do is they feed fishes to the female for the courtship, and then they do the mating. So these are all the interesting behaviors. Even in common birds, you can actually observe and capture those moments. It's going to be interesting, all this. And then bird fight. Okay. Sometimes, right, when I was actually photographing this little grebe, I was actually trying to photograph a portrait shot of it. I was focusing on it. And all of a sudden, this bird started fighting. Then when I observed, right, it used the beak to fight. And then it uses the leg and beak to fight. I mean, most of the birds, right, they use beaks and legs. I mean, raptors, they use legs to fight with each other. And I was managed to capture the entire sequence of the fight. I mean, it will try to push another bird with leg, and it use the beak, twist and turns and all. I mean, it's a very common bird. In urban, you can actually definitely see this bird. But I mean, understanding and I mean, just to see the behavior is actually interesting more than capturing as well, right? And next thing is mobbing. I mean, in urban, right, you can definitely see crow, which will mostly mob the predators, like owls or even the raptors, right? So it used to mop and then it used to chase away because it feels that these predators are threatened, right? And also sometimes, right, crow will mop. Say for example, if there is a food scarcity, right? Then there is less food, then it will actually chase away the ducks also. That is what you are seeing here in this picture. And this particular picture, right, I would like to share that the barn owl mopping. This I photographed from my apartment's balcony. So I used to track this barn owl. It used to come out around 6 o'clock, and then just in front of my apartment there is an individual house where it comes and roost there. So one day I used to, whenever I get time, I used to look for this owl. I mean, where it is sitting, and then is there any chance it comes out in the morning? That's why I used to observe this owl. One fine day, it came out around 6 o'clock. It was sunny. I mean, it has the light. It was not dark at that point of time. I saw almost like 20 crows, mobbing the owl, and then it chased the owl from there. So that was the moment it was captured here. All other three pictures are actually photographed in marshland in Chennai, Solingolo marshland, where crow try to mob the ducks as well as the harrier. I mean, obviously, when you say marshland, right, you will also see the western marsh harrier, which is the migrant. Okay. Next, observe the actions, right? Okay. One of my favorite subject in birds are ducks, because in city, right? I mean, in urban, I spend a lot of time, observing the ducks and then tracking the ducks and then photographing the ducks. And whenever I tried to approach or photograph the ducks in wild, right, it was very shy. I mean, I was not at all successful, to be frank. I will be like half kilometer away, still the birds will fly. I for no reason it will fly in a group. But in urban, it was actually pretty approachable. I will not say it is easy, but definitely it is challenging. but it is pretty approachable. I mean, if you wait for it and then you approach it slowly, then it gives I mean, you have a high chance to photograph these beautiful ducks. And the what it's important to observe the actions. When I say actions, right? What birds does is basically the birds will actually do the bath, and after the bath, right, what it will do is it will actually flap the wings after they bath, right? So you need to wait for the moment and then freeze the moment. I mean, when they flap the wings, I mean, that is what it's interesting pictures to take. So what you're seeing here is different ducks. All are captured. I mean, within the city itself, right? I mean, spot-billed duck, northern pintail, northern shore, where I managed to capture the flapping behavior. Okay. Next is predicting the action. When I say predicting action, right? I mean, when I was actually driving around the bike, I just noticed the bronze-winged jacana was feeding around the floating vegetation. Then I was pretty sure that I can actually go. It is going to give enough time for me. So that is the reason I just went and then I waited for it to actually to do the normal feeding. I mean, what it does. That is where the picture or action what I had in my mind is to freeze the foot and the claws. I mean, that is pretty beautiful in Chakanas, basically in crossfin Chakan also, where it has the unique feet and claws where it helps for Chakana to walk in the floating vegetation, right? So it's important to wait, understand, and predict what action you want, and then picturize it. So which will be a very unique frame as well. And then Tail Jacana, right? When it used to do the preening, right? I mean, it used to do the preening of feathers and feathers, and the moment or action which I waited to capture is actually to take the preening of the tail. It does the preening of the tail. I mean, that one reason would be like to attract the female as well, right? So these are the different actions. Once you spend time with these birds, right, then you can actually take a different actions, different frames, which makes a picture interesting. Who poses? I mean, I mean, we saw ducks where it takes the bath in the water, right? Similarly, few birds, right, they take sun bath as well, right? So hoopoe is one example, and then the bee eater, which they take sun bath, right, in the sand. Sand bath. When I say sand bath, right, what it does is actually it takes the bath in the sand, where the main reason is to absorb the excessive oil. That is one reason, and then to maintain the good plumage, and also to remove the feather parasites, because these birds, right, they feed on the grasses where parasites can enter into the body. So when it does the sand bath, that is where it removes all the parasites, right? Okay. This is one example on the hunting behavior. I mean, various birds actually hunts differently, right? This is one of the hunting behavior which I managed to capture within the urban area itself, where even the birds like rare birds like red-necked falcon, it adapts well inside the habitat. I mean, in pylon and then inside the habitat. And when there are the small birds around, right, what it does is it flies low, and then in the air it will hunt those small birds. And that is where, when I was actually just taking other birds, I noticed one bird which was very flying very low and then fast. Then I just focused and I photographed it, and then I saw it was a red-necked falcon hunting probably a wood sandpiper. So these are the moments you can actually unpredicted moments you can urban you can actually come across, right? And typically hunting behavior of a pied kingfisher you would have seen in urban, where it will do the hovering on the lake side and all. Then it will hunt the fish. So different birds hunts differently, right? And understanding the behavior will help you to capture the right moment. Okay. Now the topic is understanding the flying pattern. Obviously, like in birds, right? Flying shot is one of the toughest one to shoot, right? Because you need to understand the flying patterns, and there are various scenarios you need to consider, right? So understanding the flying pattern is also important. And advantage of urban bird photography is, I mean, it gives more opportunity for you to understand the flying pattern of the birds, because the birds lives in a closed area, right? I mean, it shares with human, and it's not that large as in wild, right? I mean, wild you cannot track a bird pattern. It may fly away from one place to another place. It's all abundant, right? But in urban, it lives in a limited space, so that is where it gives more opportunity to track the flying pattern. So for flying pattern, right? So first thing is you need to understand the landing pattern. I mean, where the bird is going to land, that is important to track. So few consideration for taking the flying shot of landing pattern are predict the landing path. I mean, you need to predict where exactly the bird is going to land and what, I mean, once you observe the bird and once you spend a lot of time with the bird, right, then that becomes easier. And then you need to have a point of view. When I say point of view, right, I mean, you can just take a flying shot. I mean, you can just take above the sky and then 90 degree you can shoot. But that will not give you a point of view. I mean, you need to have a point of view where you want to shoot the shot, flight shot. I mean, in which angle you want to take a flight shot, head on or a side view, what level, what background, and you need to plan all scenarios. That is point of view. And you have to be pre-focused. I mean, when you are in the field, right, I mean, you have to be pre-focused. I mean, you spend 1 hour or 2 hours, you need to be alert in all the situations, because anytime the bird can fly or can, there will be some action, so you have to be pre-focused and alert in the field. And obviously practice, that makes a practice, and patience is one of the key success of flying shots, right? So this is one flying shot which I managed to capture the Pleasantile Jacana, where it was actually in Solinolu marshland. I mean, in front, in middle of apartments, there is a vegetation there. So where, after feeding, right, then I managed to capture, I mean, I managed to follow the landing pattern of it. That is where, when it takes off, I know this is where it is going to land, and I focused it, wherein it came exactly in front of my camera, which I managed to capture the head-on shot. Similarly, a gray-headed trumpian. I mean, the beauty of these birds, right? These are very common birds, but I mean, when the birds are actually in the ground, you will not be able to see the, I mean, the leg or the claws. And the flying shot makes it very interesting, right? When it shows the claws and the foot, feet. Sorry. And then Gargani. This is one of the shot. I mean, this is one of the shot which I really one of my favorite shot, because landing shot in eye level is always difficult, right? So if you see this Gargani, right? So I spend almost like 3-4 days understanding where exactly these ducks are landing. So once I understood, okay, this is the pattern, this is where it is going to land, then I had a point of view that this is going to be the place where it is going to land, and then I predicted that when it lands, I need to focus from top where it is actually going to land. From there, I need to track the bird and then exactly capture the moment. So it is about tracking the bird from the far away it is going to land, from exactly where it lands, and then splash the water. So the entire sequence has to be tracked. So yes, this is one of the landing pattern which will help you to take the shots. And then obviously the takeoff pattern, right? Compared to landing pattern, right? A takeoff is pretty easier because you can easily pre-focus, and when the bird is going to fly, you need to wait for it, right? Once you wait for it, once you wait for it, then it will actually do that. I mean, it will do some kind of movement where you can predict, and then you can capture the takeoff shot. So Pleasantile Jacana, right? It was actually standing in the wall, right? So I was waiting for it to do a takeoff, and then the background and all those things, I was actually ready for it, and then when it takes off, then I was able to capture this moment, right? And another simple techniques, I mean, will be useful is, say if you see group of birds, right? If one bird take off, right? And if you miss it, don't worry, definitely other bird is going to take off. So you can easily track those patterns, right? So once you spend time with these birds, then it is going to be easy and interesting as well. Okay. Then bird eye view perspective.
Awesome images, awesome images. I love the eye level photography, Anand.
Yeah,
The
thanks, man.
little gravy looks so beautiful in this picture. Okay, otherwise
Yeah.
it's a common small, kuti, small tiny bat.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
hardly used to take. No, it's already everywhere. It's there. But this image looks so pretty and beautiful. Super.
Thanks, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thanks. I mean, say if you want to take a bird eye view, right, then you need to go to the level of the bird. I mean, most of the time, right, birds will be in the ground, right? Then you need to lay down flat to see the bird's eye view perspective, right? Once you started photographing that, right, then you will never photograph by standing and then in the ground.
Yeah.
Not,
In Tamil, we usually say Sastang Namaskar.
yeah,
Even Hindi also, we used to do Namaskar, no? And touching elders' feet. Same thing, touching, instead of touching birds' feet, we just lie down and go for eye level photography. Yeah.
yes, ma'am. So
Super.
that is where it gives, I mean, a foreground and background, and also the reflection. If you see the little grape, it provides the reflection, right? And one important thing is, I mean, in theory, it is very easy to say eye level, go eye level, and then, but in practical, it's very difficult. I mean, you need to spend a lot of time with the birds, and then every bird has their own. I mean, it will allow you. I mean, few birds they will allow you very close. Also, few birds will not allow you very close. Then you need to spend time, slowly approach it. I mean, typically what we do is when we get excited, we run and then go with our camera. Right? I mean, if somebody is running towards you, you will also get afraid and you will also run away, right?
The
Similarly,
birds is also run away. So that's why for bird photography, I request my young photographer friends, go with one or two people. Okay, if you go 5, 6 people, you won't find birds anywhere. Only in the sanctuary you will find. But other places, go with one or two friends. Otherwise, go alone only. Then only you can find birds. Yeah.
yes, ma'am. And I mean, that is the best way to approach it. I mean, go slow, steady. I mean, obviously, everybody will excited. I mean, I will also get excited when I see the birds. But you need to go slowly, slow, do a slow movement. Then you need to spend time with it. That is where it will actually allow you so close and few shots like little green. It will come towards your lens itself. I mean, that comfortable it is, right? So these are the few things you need to consider when you go with the bird eye perspective. I mean, when you want to go with the ground level perspective. And these are the few migrant birds, I mean, which managed to capture. I can talk about the birds in the further slides. So wherein, you get a different backgrounds, and I mean, these are all actual backgrounds, right? Where you get a different perspective and different background and the colors, right? So that is the beauty about the eye level photography. This is but urban photography, which will provide more opportunity. I mean, once you spend time with the bird, more time, then I mean, it's going to be uh, producing very good images. Okay, now bird in flight. So I mean, bird in flight always requires a practice. I mean, if I'm not using my camera for 10, 15 days or 20 days, then my focus of how fast I take the bird photos will actually become less. I mean, you have to be, I mean, practice
Practice every day. Yeah.
every day.
Otherwise, you not only forget, but you get used to this, how to track everything. No,
Yes, yes.
usually you have to do very often. Yeah.
I mean, not forget. I mean, you will not have that speed like when you focusing on the birds. So practice is always good. I mean, common birds are definitely a good opportunity. And if you see common myna, it's most of the underrated bird, right? I mean, most of the photographers will not be interested to take a common myna itself. But when I was taking another birds, then I thought, why can't I shoot a common myna? I mean, I thought like common myna will be beautiful when you have the right moment captured. So that's what you're seeing here, right? And one more fact, I mean, this is an interesting fact about common myna. It is one of the most invasive species. I mean, top 100, it is one of the top species. When I say invasive species, right? This species, I mean, this bird has been introduced in other country, which is not a resident in that country. And then after that, what it does is actually in years, the population has been grown. And then it is going to impact the entire ecosystem of the country itself. So in Australia, right, common myna is, I mean, introduced species, and it is considered as a serious threat to the ecosystem of Australia.
Okay.
So, so these are the common facts. I mean, we know it's common by now, and we see that. So I thought like we also know about the facts about it. Yeah. Resident birds in urban. So here I'm going to cover few of the resident birds which I photographed in urban, and also these are the resident birds in urban, which is quite common across most of the city in India, I would say, right? Yes, kingfisher. I mean, obviously, we see pied kingfisher, the black and white kingfisher, very beautiful kingfisher, one of my favorite kingfisher. I don't get bored of shooting this kingfisher. Any kingfisher, right? You don't get
Yeah,
bored.
yeah. We never bored of shooting any birds, not only kingfisher, Anand. Bird for lovers, we love to shoot any birds anytime. Yeah.
Exactly.
I hope everyone agree with me.
Exactly. Yeah. So the typical, I mean, the habitat of kingfisher is, in freshwater lake, wherever there is a fish, right? Even the backwater, wherever the fish, you can find the kingfisher there, right? And then common kingfisher, right? So this photograph, right? I purposely photographed this because, this is actually, it is perching on the fisherman nest. This is how it, it's closely connected with the human, right? There will be fishermen fishing, and then you will see these kingfishers fishing the fish. So it's all connected in the urban, right? And then the behavior shot. So if you see here, right, white-throated kingfisher, it was actually waiting to for hunt for the fish. That is the time which the pied kingfisher flew, and then he was trying to chase away the white-throated kingfisher. So these are the behaviors. You can interesting behaviors you can capture, and even in common bird, it's actually beautiful to capture these kind of moments. Egrets, yeah. We would have seen egrets, multiple times in various area, even the garbage, and you can see egrets in freshwater lakes. But we don't take picture of egrets, right? What I did is, when the lighting is good, when you have a cleaner background, I know what wrong in taking egret. It's going to be beautiful. That was the attempt I made. Ma'am, you're on mute, ma'am.
Yeah, I just want to add one more very informative, very interesting things. For egret, it's very common pet for us, but for the livelihood, like all the other things and all, they usually eat insects from the stalks. Okay, like what do you say? எருமைக்கு என்ன சொல்லுவோம்? Cattle. That's why cattle. Yeah, on cattle stock, they usually eat insects. Actually, they help the cattle slightly like. That's why they call even cattle egret also. Like
Yes.
they, even if you see sambar deer, other spotted deer also, they usually sit on top of even nilgai also. They usually sit top on the nilgai also to eat the insects. They help each other. That's the benefit for them also. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So, you brought up a perfect example, ma'am. The cattle egret, what it do is it'll actually, most of
they
the
run
time,
in front of the cattle usually, you know? They usually run in front of the cattle behind.
yeah. So, cow, or it can be a cow where it will stand on top of the cow, and
Yes.
what it will do is it will actually feed the parasites from the body. So it is mutually, both the birds get benefits, right? Both species gets benefits, right? And one more interesting fact about cattle egret is during plumage, right? It looks very beautiful. If you see the orange color pattern, this was actually shot during the plumage, where you can see the orange color pattern in the cattle egret. So it looks very attractive as well. So not to miss out. If you do not photograph breeding plumage of egret, cattle egret, it's not to be missed out.
Even our pond heron is also become very colorful, Anand. Pond heron is also where you can find very urban habitat birds. Okay. Even before going to Bharatpur, the city itself, we will see a lot of egret and pond heron. Definitely, our friends also would have seen somewhere. Maybe, yeah, this is, yeah, Indian pond heron. When it's breeding season, the color itself like really beautiful, no? Maroon color, it become maroon color.
Yes, ma'am. In breeding, it will become very beautiful. Very common herons we can see in cities are night heron, and then pond heron, and then purple heron, gray heron. These are the herons, which is very common. I mean, when you spend time, I mean, when you're photographing other birds, where you can also spend time on this bird as well. I mean, you can take a flight shot for the pond heron or for pond heron hunting a fish. These kind of moments, right, is always good to watch and capture as well, right? So night heron, what it does is, if you see the night heron picture, right, it is actually talks about the urban habitat where it is actually standing on the empty plot. There is a stone there, right? In all typically in all plots, right, you will have the stone.
They
So,
put empty, yeah, yes, yes.
so the birds started using that as a natural.
But we want natural pets, but we can't avoid it. This is a man-made pets.
It's a man-made perch, correct, ma'am? Yes. And bulbuls. I mean, in cities, right? In urban area, you can easily find these bulbuls. I mean, red-banded bulbul, biscuit bulbul, and even red-banded bulbul is also a invasive species. I mean, similar to common myna, right? It has been introduced in US, and then it is also impacting the ecosystem. I mean, due to the huge population. This is one of the, I mean, in top three birds, right? In invasive species, top two is our species. I mean, the common species, red-banded bulbul and common myna. Red whiskered bulbul, I mean, it's one of the common beautiful bulbul. White brown bulbul, it is, I mean, it is kind of special bulbul only available in southern part of, I mean, India as well as Sri Lanka. I mean, North India, it is not seen, right? So if
So the endemic to South India, Western
Okay.
Ghat, you can say, endemic.
And purple rum sunbird, it is endemic to India. I mean, not even Sri Lanka. Few birds, right, it will be endemic to India and Sri Lanka, but this bird is endemic to India itself. I mean, if you want to, when I say, I mean, endemic bird, it is only available in India.
Yeah,
I mean,
and also, Anand, this I say people, if you are urban habitat, before going to Munnar, I photographed this bird near in front of a tea shop. Okay, it was eating the cherries and all. In front of the tea stop, all the buses are going, vehicles are going. So you can say it's urban habitat of Western Ghat. There it's available, no? That's why we are including, guys. Don't think it's a Western Ghat picture endemic. How we are using this one here. Just to explain our friends.
This is also available in overall India, ma'am.
Okay, yeah.
Purple sunbird. I mean, purple sunbird is one common sunbird. I mean, if there is a flowers in
Home
near
garden, we will get home garden. Yeah, all Tamil idli poo, flower home garden, and hibiscus you will get. Nectar feeding plants.
Yes, yes. So these are the common sunbirds, but it's always challenging to take the sunbird. I mean, it took a lot of time to capture a good photo of a sunbird because it's very active and most of the time inside the bushes, and it is challenging. It's not easy to take the sunbird to the track. Yeah, and these are the other common birds, Ashi prinia, I mean, and then the plain prinia, and Zitting cisticola. Always I struggle to pronounce this name, Zitting cisticola. It's always difficult, right? Ashi prinia, right? This is the picture where the prinia actually when it wants to show the anger or threat, right? What it does is it will actually lift the tail. And then the plain prinia, if you see this plain prinia picture, right? I mean, the background is very different, right? Because I've used building as a background, building color as a background, and it was feeding on an insect. So I thought like it is going to be interesting frame, right? So that is the opportunity which you get in urban, right? So you can use building also as a background and then photograph. And this is going to be a most common bird, crow and then drongo, and also Asian quail, right? These three are black beauties of cities. I mean, you can see everywhere. And black drongo, sometimes, right, you notice something different in the species. I mean, the bird, even if it's a common bird, the black drongo lost its, lost its hair, maybe because of, some disease or because of fight. There may be many reasons for that. But if there is some different which you observe on a common birth, is always good to record and document. Right? And house crow, right? House crow is very common. I mean, you would have seen everywhere, right? I mean, it's very. Ma'am, you're on mute, ma'am.
Sorry to disturb. Atul was asking. I had to ask this question. Out of curiosity, I rarely seen photography of crow. Why is so? The thing is, I photographed Atul. For me, crow is also very pretty. Okay, I photographed baby crow. Maybe I will share it this week. And with pair also I photographed. And this usually it was not common. No, not only it's not black. We are not putting. It's very common. So that's why we are taken for granted. Yeah, we can take any time. But the thing is, exposing crow is very important when you are planning a bird photography and wildlife photography. If you want to experiment, and crow and django is very good subject to expose. You have to expose black as a black. Okay, it's a very easy subject, and you can practice also. Usually we miss, no, but hereafter I think everyone has to take. I usually take photograph. Good crow. So that's I think we cleared Atul question of itself. Yeah, please carry on.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Yeah.
And I mean, even crow, right? Sometimes you get an interesting frame where, this was actually taken along the beach where, where a fisherman, where they left out dead fishes, right? So what crow does is it goes and picks the dead fishes and then eat, because it will not hunt the fish, right? So that's the moment I thought it's interesting. So I captured the moment. And munias. I mean, this is one of the colorful munia, one of my favorite also, right? And there are pretty common munia. I mean, these munias, right? If you could find a place on tall grasses or agriculture farmlands, it will basically feed on the seeds, right? So where you can spot these birds in groups. So usually you can see 5 or 6 birds in group, and then you can capture these munias as well. Very interesting birds, right? And if you see in all three munias, right, it has a very unique bill. I mean, the conical bill. That is where it helps to, feed on the seeds, right? That is why it is like that. And a scaly breasted munia. I mean, this is one of the common beauty, I would say. And the interesting fact which I want to share is this gets adapted very well in urban. I mean, I've seen scaly-breasted munia build a nest on the, TV antenna. I mean, you have the TV antennas, right? And also in the slab where, AC ventilations and all will be there, right? Outside projections. Even there, these munia started building the nest and they get adapted on the urban culture. So that is how, birds adapt to the urban culture. Babbler, yellow-bellied babbler. This one, right? I mean, you have definitely not missed out in urban. It will make a lot of noise in the morning, right? It's a very noisy bird, and this bird, one specialty. I mean, we would have seen it in urban. I mean, everywhere you can see easily inside urban, roaming around in the buildings and near to the garbage. But the specialty of this bird is it is endemic to India and Sri Lanka and endemic to South India specifically. I mean, if you are in North India, right, that is jungle babbler. You would have not seen yellow-bellied babbler. So it is always important. I mean, if it is endemic, I mean, just go and shoot a one shot of it. Yeah. And another common species, which is red-batted lapwing. I mean, if you go to any open grassland nearby, you will definitely not miss the red-batted lapwing. I mean, this is subadult, right? And then red-batted lapwing. Yellow-batted lapwing, right? I mean, this is there everywhere. I mean, this is endemic to India and Sri Lanka, and it is one of the beautiful lapwing as well. So you may need to explore near to your city where you can find maybe the lake beds or freshwater lake. Nearby your city, you need to explore and then find this bird, and it is going to be an interesting bird as well. Common coot. I mean, common coot is one of the very tough birds to photograph because of color contrast.
It looks common, but it's not very common to get good photograph of common coot, guys. I understand. Yeah.
Because it has the black and white combination, is always a struggle to photograph of it. And if you see this common coot, right? I mean, it's a very unique background you see, right? And I would like to share these backgrounds, right? Say the first green color is actually a tree, and then the next layer is actually a wall, and then you have the green grasses and the dry grasses. So this is taken in urban in a normal place where what I thought is I will actually go to the eye level, and then when I visualize that, I could able to see there are few multi-tone background, which I thought it gives an interesting frame, right? So even in common birds, right, you can actually make some few interesting images, backgrounds, frames in urban, right? And one more is, I mean, the specialty of common coot is their feet and claws, right? It has a very unique one. So here, when it actually jumps or flap, that is where it gives the opportunity to show, or if it does the preening with the leg, the use of the leg, that is where you can actually capture the leg of the, I mean, the feet of the common coot, right? So that is where you need to wait for it and capture the action. This is one action which is being captured. I mean, this is also in the inside the city, right? And if you notice that, right, in this picture, if you notice that there is another bird, which is a northern pintail female, which is also migrant. So what I, when I observe, right, when I observe common coot is actually perching here and it was pathing and then preening. Then I waited for some time, right, and was observing. I didn't photograph actually. I was observing. Then after some time, right, this bird went away, and then northern pintail came. It does the bathing. Then Indian spot builder came. The northern pintail male came. So I could able to understand the pattern, and I went next day. I managed to capture all four birds in the same frame. So I mean that is what gives the advantage of once you understand the behavior, that is what gives you more opportunity. And common moorhen, I mean it is also common coot, common moorhen. It all shares the same habitat and marshlands or freshwater lake. And this is one portrait shot of the common moorhen. Yeah, little grebe. I mean, little grebe is always interesting bird. I mean, even it's a common bird, right? Yeah, what it does is when you try to focus on the bird, then it will go down inside the water. Then you have to wait for it, then it will come up. And sometimes it provides different actions, like say what you're seeing here in this picture, right? And then it shakes the body, and then it used to run on the water surface. So these are the beautiful moments you can actually capture with the little grebe as well. White-breasted waterhen. White-breasted waterhen, I mean, I felt very difficult to photograph in urban city. I felt like it's very shy bird. I mean, I've seen many times in open, but when I try to photograph it, it's always running into the bushes. I felt it was very difficult to photograph. I managed to photograph one shot of it. Cotton pygmy goose. And when you talk about water birds, right? These are the common birds like shrimp-hen, coot, moorhen, grebe, all common birds. But in urban city, right, there are, resident birds like cotton pygmy goose also gets adapted. I mean, it's not always seen in urban. I've seen in Chennai, I mean, quite rarely, I mean, it migrates. I mean, maybe local it does the migration. This is a cotton pygmy goose subadult, wherein it gets adapted. I mean, it was there for 1 month. It was very used to human habitat. That is where I got opportunity to photograph this bird. It's a very tiny bird as well, cotton pygmy goose. Yes, that's spot-bill duck. The unique about spot-bill duck taking flying shot is, I mean, only in the flight shot you will able to see the feather color of the spot-bill duck, I mean the green color. So it is important to pre-visualize. I mean, what you want to take in bird in flight. I mean, this spot-bill duck, right? It's definitely this feather. I mean, feather open, which gives a unique picture. So you can actually plan for it, even though it's a common bird, it's available in urban. So these kind of shots, right, which makes the picture interesting. Right? Lesser whistling duck and full-face whistling duck. Lesser whistling duck is, I mean, it's quite common. I mean, it is a resident bird. Sometimes it also does the local migration as well. The full-face whistling duck is pretty rare. I mean, it's pretty rare in the sense it is easily seen. I mean, if you visit Chennai, right, if you visit Sholinganallur marshland, you will definitely not miss out this beauty. I mean, the full-face whistling duck. But it is not widespread in other areas. I mean, in North India or in various places, right? So always it is when you are visiting Chennai, so you have a look for the fully whistling duck within the city itself and try to photograph. And the difference between these two ducks are, lesser whistling duck, it has the yellow ring in the eyes, right? And fully whistling duck doesn't have that ring. That is easy to differentiate between the both the birds. And also, if you see the neck, there is a difference in the color pattern, right?
Yeah, it almost sometimes I also from distance confused. No, that it's really clear. No, you can see the from eye ring. Yeah.
Yes. And
Yes.
also the neck of the fully whistling duck is it will have the black stripe as well as the white in it. It lacks in the lesser whistling duck.
Oh, yes.
And black ram flameback, and this is one of the few woodpecker which gets adapted in the urban culture, right? I've seen this woodpecker. I mean, it goes and then it feeds the rice. I mean, human waste rice. It goes and feeds on it. I've seen it many times in urban, and also what it does is I've seen a woodpecker actually standing. I mean, on the mirror, and then it watch. I mean, it'll actually land on the mirror, and then it will keep looking at it. And even in the car mirror, right? I've seen many times it goes there and look after, and it is quite used to the human habitat. So this is one of the few woodpeckers which actually adapt to the human habitat. Bitterns. I mean, what not more? I mean, in urban, right? You can definitely find a lot of birds. I mean, even bitterns. I've managed to capture the bittern, and I would say a cinnamon bittern is one of the very toughest bird to photograph and seen also, because most of the time it's inside the tall grasses. It used to hide behind, and very difficult to photograph these bittern. I mean, mainly the cinnamon bittern in the open. So where one day, I mean. I've done urban board photography for many days, but I had a chance only one day where I managed to photograph cinnamon bittern in open, right? So it's that tough. It is. Yellow bittern, I mean, it is quite common. I mean, when I say common, right, in urban, that I could see these bitterns, right? I mean, middle of the apartment, the vacant plots and all, right, where there has, where it has the tall grasses. So these bitterns are pretty adapt to it, but it's pretty sensitive bird as well. Pelicans and pelicans, spot bill pelican, right? So these are a few interesting birds where you can see around the freshwater lake or backwater. So pretty much it will hunt on the fishes, right? I mean, pelicans will use a huge bill and then it will hunt the fishes. And once you spend time with these pelicans and strokes, right, then you will be able to capture few actions like feeding on the fish or tossing the fish. I mean, pelicans toss the fish, and this is one moment which I mean, when I saw this spot-bill pelican, right, it was actually hunting around one particular spot. Then I managed to position such a way that I can get, I mean, the pelican just approach in front of me. That is what I managed to capture here. And painted stock, I mean, this picture, right? I just want to show this picture in a very zoom way because you can see both the eyes, right? I mean, you can see the happiness of this
Yes, yes,
dog
yeah.
and then
Fearless
the
in this, yes.
the expression of
Same,
both the
different expression, same frame.
yes, yes. And then darter and cormorant. This is the most underrated birds, right? I mean, usually we don't photograph these darters or cormorant because we see it's very common everywhere, and even these darters and cormorants sometimes, right? You focus, spend time, and then you take flight shot of. This is one shot of darter where it is exactly going to land. I mean, and then darter which is actually hunting the fish, and these kind of moments. Even I've not spent more time with this bird because I would have spent more time than I would have got
Got
much.
more images, yeah. Don't underestimate common birds, no? Usually
Yes,
now, hereafter, I hope today our friends who are watching this session, they will never miss any common birds hereafter. They will shoot good photographs.
because when I looked, ma'am, when I looked, then I realized that I didn't had a good shot of cormorant. I mean, a little cormorant or a greater cormorant. Then I realized that okay, I need to go and try again, and because it is there everywhere, right? It's easy to photograph,
Yeah.
and yeah, that is one good thing to learn, that not to be missed out. These
Yes.
birds, keep it in your profile. Ibises and glossy ibis, black-headed ibis, and open bill stork. These are very common birds on the I mean, marshland or even in the open grassland. And here, if you see the two pictures, right? Glossy ibis is actually taken during the monsoon. So that is why you get the green color, right? And then if you see the right-hand side picture, it is during the dry May month. This is where your most of your grasslands will be dry. Even in city, right? I noticed, within the city, the marshlands, right? It will be very dry during summer, And in the monsoon, right, it will be just opposite. You will see a lot of birds there. You will see a lot of activity in monsoon where it will be like the vegetations will be there. I mean, you will have the floating vegetation. You will have your all your plants and trees in that monsoon period. And I would say these are the two common beauties, I would say, like roasting parakeet and Indian roller. I mean, Indian roller is one of the very colorful.
Common resident birds. Both are common resident birds. All throughout the India, you will find. Definitely, friends would have cited this also, photographed also. Very easy and friendly also. Yeah.
Easy and friendly. Owl. So these are the two owls easily you can see in urban. So they get adapted very well in urban habitat. I mean, you can see spotted owlet in your buildings, even the barn owl, which I managed to photograph, right? I mean, it's just in the building, near to the building. Sometimes, barn owl actually build a nest in the building itself. I mean, within the building or in the, within the building, or sometimes in the temples and all. We have seen the barn owl doing the nesting. That is how these two owls, right, are closely connected. And barn owl, I would just like to share, story behind this picture, right? Every day, right? I mean, most of the time, I used to go to the balcony and see the barn owl. I mean, which is just opposite. It comes and then it roosts on the opposite house, right? So that's why I used to monitor. And one particular day, around 5:30, I saw this barn owl flying around, and it was actually went and roosted in a particular tree. Then I thought, okay, I took my camera, packed my camera, went down of the apartment, and then I managed to go and find the bird and photograph it. So, I mean, if you are watching it whenever you go out in urban, right? So that is where you sometimes you able to see some great moment and which you can capture as well. So these are the few raptors. I mean, there's a few common raptors, which you can see in urban. I mean, Shikra is one of the few raptors which we have used building as a background, and black shoulder kite. These and black, definitely black kite. And when I look back, this photo I took 8 years before when I started my bird photography. That is where I took the black kite, and after that I never tried to capture the black kite. Usually these black kites are everywhere, right? So typically we just ignore these black kites. I mean, it's also important to photograph it. I mean, uh, yeah, the common bird as well. Now, migrant birds in urban, right? Okay. So, few ducks, right? I mean, few ducks I've managed to photograph. I mean, these are the ducks which migrates. I mean, when from Russia or Europe, when there is a during winter, mainly during the winter, right, for us, where in the Europe there will be food scarcity, and then it's going to be too cold, and there's no food there. That is where these birds migrate to. I mean, India. So if you see here, right, the red color is where the habitat. I mean, the actual habitat of these birds, and then the blue color is where it migrates. So it migrates to India, and also these birds like Gargani and Eurasian teal regularly migrates, and then it reaches the Solanur marshland, which is inside the city. Every year it comes here, and then it stays from November to March, where it gets adapted to the urban habitat. I've seen a group of Garganis like 500 inside the city itself, and then it gets adapted to the culture. I mean, urban habitat. Eurasian Vigian. I mean, Eurasian Vigian is also another duck, migrant duck, which is also quite common. I mean, during peak migrant time, I mean, during February, I've seen almost like 1,000 to 2,000 ducks. I mean, inside the city, Shawler, Pintail, Vigian, Gargani, all feeding, and then it was very exciting moment for me to watch as well. I mean, this year. So in that, right, there is one bird which is Gadwal, which is very rare to see in Tamil Nadu. Right, I mean, it's not that quite often you see Gadwal, and which I managed to capture within the city itself. I mean, within the Chennai city, where I managed to capture these rare migrants. So sometimes, right, you will not know what urban birding will give you, right? You can actually capture a few rarity like Garbal inside the city itself. And then whereas, right? I mean, in Chennai, right? You can see whereas very common in the Pulicat bird sanctuary. I mean, I mean, from main city, right? You need to travel. I mean, 2 hours. I mean, 2 hours to the sanctuary, and then you can find a lot of waders there, different waders there. But I mean, my thought process was I just saw a few waders inside the city itself. Then I just explored and went and then watched those waders in various places. I mean, in marshland or backwaters nearby within the city. Then I was able to manage to capture the waders inside the city itself. Right. This was actually captured along the ECR backwaters. Right. Backtail codbait and then Eurasian collie, which is actually considered as a near threatened. So these are very interesting migrant species, right, which reaches, I mean, India. And then continue with various, right, common red shank and common green shank. I mean, usually, right, when we approach the waders, right, what we do is, I mean, if you approach the waders, then it is going to fly, right? It's very difficult to, go back of the waders and photograph it. It's going to be very, very tough. So what you need to do is you need to understand where, I mean, what is their behavior? I mean, where the waders are feeding, right? Basically, where there's a food, right? That is where you will see a lot of activities. If you see the common green shank here, right? You can see the habitat where it feeds on this particular habitat. So once you understand that, right, you need to, I mean, you need to wait for it. And once you wait, and then the birds will actually start doing its feeding regularly, and that is where it comes close to you, and then you will be managed to capture a better photo of it. And this is one picture of common green shank when I was actually waiting in one place. I mean, I was actually waiting in one place, laying down for almost 2 hours to capture these waders. And that at one point of time, right, the bird started coming towards my lenses. It was actually feeding very close to me. It was very friendly, and it didn't bother about me. So that is a comfort zone you need to give to the bird, that it should not get a threaten of you. You need to spend a lot of time with it, and then it has to be used to you. And um, typically, right, I mean, waders, it's not a much colorful bird in non-breeding plumage, right? So that is the reason, I mean, I just want to, photograph these birds in a different frames, I mean, in different backgrounds and colors, and also some accents on it. I mean, if you see here the marsh sandpiper, right, it's actually running towards, right? And wood sandpiper, it has a very different background of colors, right? So these are the things which I tried to photograph these raptors to make it present is more beautiful.
Even these waders also look so beautiful in a frame. They are for us. It's very not very colorful one, no, like dull colors and all. No? But
Yes.
the way you captured eye level photography, it's really even woodpecker looks so pretty and beautiful.
So thank
Yeah,
you.
please.
Yeah. Okay. Pacific golden plover, right? The plumage. I mean, in waders, right? I mean, so birds where plumage is more beautiful. I mean, normally non-breeding plumage is not colorful, but when it comes to plumage, right, it will be very beautiful. I mean, it turns the color. That is where that is where you need to target and capture these beauties, right? So first, this picture is actually a Pacific golden plover in non-breeding plumage adult, and you can see the golden spot in the back. The next is a molding adult, where you can see a little bit of black towards the belly, right? And then if you see the complete breeding adult, right, it has the black face and also the white stripes in it, right? So uh, I've spent almost 5 days to capture all these three plumages, right? First day when I went, I could see this bird. I could able to sense this bird is here. Then I was able to see a group of plover flying. That's it. When the second day I went, I managed to find, okay, this is the spot it is actually feeding. If you see here, right, the two pictures here is actually feeding on the worms. That is the main feed for plovers, right? So golden plover. where it feeds on the worms around the backwaters, right? Mud flats, I would say, right? So I've observed second day, okay, this is the place where it is actually feeding the worm. And it took, and the third day, and I could not able to approach the adult bird. But my target was to capture the breeding adult bird. I could not able to, I mean, it's very shy and then it fly away. But luckily I was able to manage the non-breeding adult and I spent, I mean, almost 2 hours with one bird to photograph. I mean, I just want to photograph as much as possible.
But
I
the
mean,
breeding adult is so gorgeous. Breeding one is no with colors, no.
yes.
So when is the best time to capture them?
I mean, it's around May, ma'am.
May, yeah, it's a very
Yes.
hot summer only they come for breeding. Yes.
Yes. So before it returns, right? I mean, when it returns, what it will do is it will feed as much as it can because it has to do a long journey, right? So
Okay.
that is the best time to photograph it is also because more
They give us some time when they're eating, they're relaxed, no? They don't want to see other sites and all. They gave us some time to photograph. Great.
So it is also important. I mean, if you see those birds, right, it's also important to cover all the plumages, right? So that is what I just want to show here. And obviously, black-tailed godwit. I mean, non-breeding plumage as well as the breeding plumage. Where in breeding plumage, it has the rich orange color. I mean, which makes this beautiful. I mean, which is actually very beautiful to watch as well. Rarity. Gray-headed lapping. I mean, gray-headed lapping, it is there. I mean, every year I notice it actually migrates during January. It reaches Palikarni marshland, which is side of the city, right? But it's very difficult to get a close shot of it because the place is not approachable. Then, then what I decided is, I mean, I need to track the flying pattern of it. Then I managed to track the flying pattern of it where I could able to get the photo of this bird. Right? And then Eurasian cuckoo. I managed to photograph Eurasian cuckoo in Kelambakam, I mean, within the city itself. So I just want to share, I mean, just a background of this. I mean, I just want to relate what we discussed, right?
Yeah.
So I saw in social media that Eurasian cuckoo is there in Kelambakam.
Yeah.
Okay. Then next day, morning, I got up and then I took my bike and then I went to Kelambakam.
Okay.
I was searching for it. Eurasian cuckoo. Then I could not able to find it. Then I managed to photograph other bird. Then I returned back. While I returned back, I saw uncle. I mean, he will be like 60 or 65. He was
Okay.
shooting something. Then I went to near to him and then I asked, "What uncle you are shooting?" He said, "See the wire. That is a Eurasian cuckoo." I said, wow. And then I stopped. I mean, I parked the bike near, I mean, side of the road. And then I just waited. And then uncle said, I have to go to my office. So bye. Then I was alone. Then I decided, okay, let me wait for some time. And I waited for it, but I was pretty confident that it will come and it will feed caterpillars. I mean, I could able to sense the habitat there. Then it came down, and ultimately I want to take a natural perch.
Natural perch, yeah.
So this is the thing which I want to relate what we discussed.
Yes.
I mean, first is knowledge, right? You mean research on where this bird is.
Where this bird.
Then your point of view. I would have shoot it. I definitely shoot a record shot in wire. But my point of view is not shoot in wire. I need to shoot in.
But I think you got one sort of the rule is as soon as you sighted anybody, you have to take record shot on them.
Yes.
As soon as you sighted anyone in first rule, as soon as you sighted any bird, take record shot, whether it's an nature, not nature, wire is also fine because white-throated kingfisher, black soldier kite and all are always sitting on wire only. Even pied cuckoo also. But first thing you just shoot, okay? Then we come for beauty, but we have to wait. If we wait, definitely, as you said, no eating habits. They just come down and they go for nearest natural pests. Yeah.
Yes. So that is on the point of view. That is what we do. And then understanding the habitat. I mean, when it will feed, I mean, it definitely is going to feed. Understand the habitat around. Then after that, eye level. Eye level is not only the bird is on the ground. I mean, eye level is also when bird perches, right?
Perching on a tree also important.
So this is what helped me on photographing this bird and in a pretty decent picture because the concept which we discussed, right? This all helps me.
Yeah,
So-
that's why usually I suggest my students, everyone, no, subject knowledge is very important. Forget about your camera, high-end camera lenses, and thinking of photography. The first myth is people thinking wildlife photography, long tele lens, higher frame per second cameras. But the guys, if you don't know where you will get your birds, breeding behavior, eating behavior, habitat, then where you going to photograph? So first in wildlife photography, subject knowledge is 70%, camera is only 30%. It's just tool to capture. Okay, forget about camera, everything. First, read lot about books, birds and subject, whatever subject you are going to shoot. No, and see now the COVID, because of COVID, we can't travel much. In near city itself, you can find lot of birds. So just if you're having binocular, fine. Otherwise, just go out any nature trails or water body, just watch and read lot. And we are going to have already August, September, and then the migratory season is going to start. Now itself, you will get lot of monsoon birds, no? So now we are going to have lot of migratory season also. You will get, without traveling anywhere, you will get lot of birds in near place itself. So this is the best time to have this session, Anand. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, plain Prinia, I mean, it has the logistic plain Prinia.
Wait,
right?
yeah.
So it has the deficiency, right? So these are the rarities. I mean, even in urban, you may see such rarities, right? It's not only you photograph rare migrant bird or a rare resident bird. So even this is also a rarity, right? So always interesting to capture. And this picture, right? I have a plain background of this picture, but you know, this plant, right? I mean, definitely you would have seen this plant in urban. So that is the reason I just want to capture in the actual habitat. Now, okay. Now the urban habitat. I mean, urban habitat picture. So you would have seen a lot of pictures. I mean, resident bird, migrant bird, which is shot in urban. And at one point of time, I thought like, did I cover that what I'm seeing? Like usually, right? If you see a backtail godwit, a picture, a background, clear background, it's beautiful to see. But in reality, right? It is not that. It is not that beautiful. Ma'am, you're mute, ma'am. Sorry.
Where is the urban habitat we are talking, no? Yeah, and for friends, we're going to end finishing the last session also. It's going to be only few minutes. Please stay with us. It's going to be this interesting photograph is going to come up. Okay? Yeah, please.
Okay.
Now,
So,
6:15 ஆயிடுச்சு ஆனந்தா, எல்லாரும் next session ரெடியா இருப்பாங்க. So we're going to this, yeah.
So here the interesting part is, I mean, we need to show what is the reality, right? I mean, what is there in the urban. So that is where I thought I need to capture this pictures also, where it shows the reality. So if you see here, right, you can see the black stilt, I mean 100 back stilt, I would say, in a frame. And you can see I mean, the top, you can see the buildings urban, and the below is the wetlands, right? This is how, you know, black wing stilts are closely connected to the urban habitat. So these are the frames which makes interesting, and it's more of reality, right? So it's equally important to take this picture as well as, I mean, beautiful pictures as well. Right? And then Western Marsh area. Marsh area, the background, what you see here, right? It is actually a IT park. Right. I mean, in Palikarnai marshland, you have the IT park, and then you have the marshland below. That is where it is diving towards. That is what is captured here. And then the Placentail jacana, as I was saying, right? I mean, this is how typically, you know, the Placentail jacana will be roosting. I mean, standing in the urban habitat where it used, you know, walls as an artificial perches, right? Then urban have a full base whistling duck. I mean, if you see here, right, the background is actually the buildings where, you know, the ducks are diving towards the wetland, where, you know, there are marshland as well as very closely there are apartments and human habitat as well, which actually this picture talks about. I mean, then you can actually tell a story of urban wildlife in a frame, right? If you see here, right, in this picture, black-tailed godwit actually is in the early morning, it is actually preening. And then if in this background, if you see, right, you can see the fishermen, they started hunting. I mean, sorry, they started to do the fishing, their day-to-day routine. On top of it, you will also see the building there, right? This is how, the migrant bird, which gets adapted to the urban habitats. That is what, this picture talks about. Then here, when I was actually shooting the common restaurant, right, and I saw the feral dog. I mean, this is feral dog in the sense, this street dogs, right? It was actually behind. I don't have any option just to photograph it. So these dogs, right? I mean, I've seen many instances. These dogs started hunting the wild bird. I mean, they used to chase, and if there is a nesting, right, then it used to attack, the jacana chicks or shempen chicks, and then it used to take and hunt. Why it is happening? Because, I mean, when you feed the street dogs, right, and then the population increase. When the population increase, right, it changed from domestic to wild, and then when there is a scarcity of food, then it start hunting the wild birds. So that is quite important. I mean, if you're even a dog lover, I mean, these are things you need to think about. Yeah. I mean, if you see the caption, right, there was a construction site, and I saw the spotted owlet, which is already moved inside the construction site before the owner moved in. Right? So, yeah, sometimes, right, the spotted owlet is very used to, urban habitat where, it's start using buildings, I mean, like pipes like this as a home, and sometimes it start building the nest also in these habitats, right? And then few picture on the conservation awareness, right? This is also very important. I mean, when you do urban bird photography, right, it's not only just take a good picture of it. I mean, you need to take habitat, you need to take, when you notice a few things like, birds eating plastic, I mean, feeding on plastic bottles, or a few things that you would definitely need to capture to raise the conservation, right? And then if you see this moorhen, right, it's actually balancing on top of the helmet. I'm not sure what reason they have thrown the helmet in this floating vegetation. So it's important when you notice I mean, the floating vegetation plants like this, or when you notice birds in urban, right? I mean, it's please don't throw any plastics or other materials. It is going to definitely impact on the birds, because these are birds which use this as a, they will use this habitat to, build
To
their
feed,
nest.
yeah, feed, mainly feeding they use, yeah.
Yes. And there's another picture of, placentale jacana, which use thermocol as a artificial perch to balance and then feed on the floating vegetation. I mean, I've seen even jacana nest on the thermocol. That level of,
Yeah, without our knowledge, we are disturbing. Without our knowledge, I know people may have no idea that even these birds also habitat using urban habitat nearby their water bodies and all. No? But now most of the city, inside city, the wetland marshland, long, big complexes are coming up, no apartments. So
yes,
without their knowledge, they throw just like that, then it affects this.
I've noticed many times.
Yeah.
I mean, there will be apartments, there will be lot of birds and vegetation, the floating vegetation, like lotus plants and all. They just throw from a window,
Windows.
plastic bag or waste material. I mean, it's
So we
really,
have to teach our people.
yes. I mean, there are a
Get
lot of
awareness.
beautiful birds
Yeah,
around. That is what I mean, mention is that there are a lot of beautiful birds around, and then we need to preserve those birds. Is also very important.
Conserve also.
And I will just quickly finish up with the creative. I mean, I thought like, okay, why can't I try something creative in urban, right? So that is one thing I tried. If you could able to guess what birds is that, these are all urban birds. You can easily see it in urban. So
Let
any
us see how many of you guessing. First one, second one, third one. Yeah, one is the roller bat. Okay. Second one, common kingfisher. Great. Third one, Abhishek is telling correct. Rishikesh is telling correct. Common kingfisher. Third one is Adarsh is telling correct. Yeah, Kukal. Great. I think the regular guys will know.
yeah. So I mean, even you can do something creativity, right? Even if you go in urban, I mean, you can get some creative frames with the common birds. It'll always be interesting.
Okay.
And here-
Sembath Kaka. Yes, yes, yeah.
Citron wagtail, right? So what I tried is actually, can you find which is the real and which is the reflection?
I can find. Only our friends has to tell which one is for real and which one is reflection. Certain wagtail. Shiva is correct, telling correctly. Bottom is real.
Yes, absolutely. I mean,
Lakshmi is also telling top reflection. That is easy to find, maybe. We have all photographic eyes and photos of the eyes also. Our attendance today. Okay, yeah, super. Common code. Atul is also telling correct. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the source of the colors, right, is basically from the building, right?
Sonali is also telling correct. Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
great people. Correct.
So, I mean, that is where, in urban, you can actually try different frames. I mean, you can use a building background, different color, try different things. Always there is opportunity. I mean, once you go there, once you go to the field, once you go and then explore, I mean, definitely you will not disappointed. You will get beautiful frames, right? And obviously the high key image and low key image. This is one shot, northern pintail. This was shot during, a cloudy day. Then this is one of the interesting plumage. I mean, eclipse plumage right after the breeding of northern pintail. That is what I thought. Like, I mean, presenting as a high key image will be a more interesting picture. And here your common Taylor bird, which is actually against the light. You can actually produce a low key image as well. Right? And then, yeah, why not backlight shots? I mean, you can definitely try different type
if
of
you
back.
get time, if you are getting lighting, try all the creative shots. But that it should not be more creating a low key, high key, and all of only seeing background white, background black. No, so just to try natural assessments, natural. Otherwise, you will forget natural wildlife photography. You become a digital artist. So try certain way.
Yes, yes. I mean, it is just to, try one or two picture in a creative way.
No, real light you can use. When you're getting light like this, you can use. But don't create in the field, not create in the Photoshop. Yeah.
Yeah. True, man. Agree.
Yes, yeah. Muchacha, we are going to, we had, I think, thank you guys. Everyone is there. It's going to be 6:25, Anand. Anyway, it's a word session to see all the images and listen everything. Yeah. Thank you, Prasant. Done now.
Yes, ma'am.
I can stop your screen share, Anand. We can go for a question and answer session.
Yes, ma'am.
I think it's very explanative. Friends can ask any questions. Yeah, we have one more interesting question. Rajesh Nagaraj is asking, have you shifted to mirrorless yet?
No, man. I just use crop body.
He is using only crop body. Okay. And are you more happy batting in India than abroad?
I'm pretty happy birding in Chennai itself.
Chennai itself, correct. Okay. Bhaskar is asking, for takeoff or landing, were you using tripod or monopod, or were you doing handheld?
I mean, it depends upon the situation. Say, it depends on the situation. Say, if you see the bird randomly, right? It's always it's very flexible to use your hand and then shoot. But if you want to pre-focus and then shoot the birds, right? Then I always go with tripod. I mean, when you use tripod, that is where it gives more flexibility when you execute it. Because you cannot wait for 1 hour, right? I mean, your hand is going to pain. Ma'am, you are not able to hear your voice.
And I have to tell Anand, it was very informative session, to be frank, and we get lot of even our local birds, also common birds, also interesting information. Really enjoyed the session, and we got really good comments from everyone. All are telling informative. Thank you so much. And I think some new names from abroad. Ting Tang Chang is Tantian Chink is telling. Thank you, Mr. Anand. And Abhishek Tiwari is telling beautiful and encouraging session. Okay. And I have to thank you, Anand. It's very good session, really useful.